Hey guys, Kenny here. I'm gonna review the 2009 reboot of Star Trek, starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Winona Ryder, Bruce. Um, uh, it was. This was a very good one. It has to do with James Tiberius Kirk, T. Kirk, and Spock before they were. It starts off before they were in Starfleet Academy together, going explaining their two different lives from when they were young kids to the young men that we see them uh, through the rest of the movie. And I have to say that the story in this is very, very strong. Has to do with Eric Bana playing this I guess vengeful Romulan, and his home world got destroyed. He asked Spock to try and save them, I guess, and Spock wasn't able to do it. And since Spock wasn't able to save his world, Eric Bana's Romulan character has been on a warpath trying to get to Spock this whole time. So Spock goes through this like a wormhole or a time travel hole. I mean, not time travel. Goes through this wormhole, and he goes back like 20 years or something into the past. And these crash lands on this like desolate frozen planet where it's always snowing, and it has some pretty deadly creatures on it, and he stays in this cave. This is the old Spock. The young Spock is still trying to get into Starfleet, and he ends up being able to get in, but after kind of defying the court that he stands in, where that his father is also where he works for. He's one of the judges. So that's a very intense moment. I have to say that this is one of the best and greatest sci-fi movies I've ever seen in my life. And if any of you haven't seen it in the theater, or if you haven't got it on DVD yet or Blu-ray, I would highly suggest you go out and rent it or buy it. Yeah, I think you would be doing yourself a great disservice not getting this or renting it. This to me was very it was very good at keeping with the canon of the Star Trek universe and the Star Trek lore. This was the original Star Trek, like in the TV series from the 60s all the way to the it was the original Star Trek cast that was James T. Kirk, Spock, Sulu, Chekhov, Scotty, Ahura, Dr. McCoy. There was another a very, I don't know about crucial, but a very important character in the Star Trek universe, the original Star Trek. I loved this. I saw it about 5 times at the theater this year. So you could already see that I loved seeing this. And since the old Spock went back in time through that wormhole, through certain events on the Enterprise, the young Kirk is like sent away from the Enterprise onto the planet, that snow or frozen planet that the old Spock is on, and then that Spock tries to get Kirk back onto the Enterprise, but he gives Kirk one mandate: not to tell his younger self on the Enterprise that Kirk had this encounter with an old version of Spock, and try to be friends with him, because they end up having a very strong friendship together. And he's Scotty, and goes with Kirk back onto the Enterprise. Then there's this Eric Bana is a Romulan character, goes to Spock's home planet and destroys it. And that is also a very fascinating scene, that kind of drill that shoots a laser through the planet, and then this some kind of a explosive device destroys Spock's home planet, that also kills his mom and dad. So Spock gets very, very heated and upset by this, but it takes a little while, because at first it didn't really affect Spock, that until Kirk goes back onto the Enterprise and confronts Spock about his mom dying. He's talking some really intense words, not cursing, but intense questioning to Spock. And then that's when Spock immediately loses it, and he says that he's emotionally compromised. And that's what the old Spock was trying to get Kirk to make. That was what the old Spock was trying to tell Kirk, to get his younger self, Spock, to say that he's emotionally compromised. And then that's when Kirk assumes the position of being captain. So then they go on a mission of getting the old colonel or captain from the Enterprise back onto the ship. I would give it a 5 out of 5, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Right over here, down here.